Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Great Australian Craft Show number 6. Welcome. You'll hear in the background today, Dottie's doing some work for me today. It's her day. And you can take it off. Yeah, and today we're going to do a few workshops or demos, and I have been currently doing a piece that's now sold to a wholesaler for their demo stuff, the shows, and it's this one here, if I can get it in underneath the camera. Put it up there. And you can see we've been doing lots and lots of free motion quilting, and it is really, really busy, but it's lots and lots of fun, and it's liberating. You don't have to be perfect with this. No one's going to see your little boo-boos, and if they do and make a mention, you need to take them off your Christmas card list. Now, the products that, hi Rado, hi Jody, the products that I'm going to be using today, the thread is a Wonderfil Mirage thread. Sorry, I'm a bit tongue-tied this morning. Wonderfil Mirage number 26. It's a variegated thread. The actual pencil I'm going to use today, I've just been stocked up with these, so it's similar to a Soline pen, but it's called Bowen, and it has a very fine line, so you can see how fine that line is there. So that'll work well for me today. I've also got my Marcia Baraldi's gloves that I'm wearing that I use for my free motion quilting. Hi, Shell. And, excuse me, I'm sewing on 100% cotton with cotton wadding and cotton backing. Okay, just so you know. The other thing too is I'm using my Janome Memory Craft 14,000 in free motion mode, and I have my free motion foot on, and this is an added extra you can get, and it does wind up and down. If you do have a Janome and you want to have a foot that doesn't bounce, this is the one to get. The product number of that I can't tell you off the top of my head, but if you rang and asked for the free motion quilting foot that does not bounce and has an adjustment, you would get one. So I'm going to put my glasses on, hope they don't fog up, and get into it. So the first thing I want to do is figure out where I am and what I'm doing in what section. So it's still got a little way to go. Last time I did some leaves and things like that, filled up all this corner, which was great. So that's all been filled up. All lots of little micro quilting and stuff like that. I've done some of those leaves, like I said before, but I really need to get around them, and you can see how it's starting to buckle from all the quilting. So if I get into those and really stitch it down, it will go flat like this. Okay, so basically stitching it to death. First thing I need is my gloves. If I don't have my gloves on, I can't hang on to the fabric. That's just a known fact for me. I just can't. My hands just won't do it, and with years of tendon issues in my arms, it just causes issues. So I absolutely wear my gloves every time, and even when I do piecing, sometimes I'll wear them. A lot of the time I wear them, and I'll also wear them when I do the binding, because you've got all that fabric underneath your fingers. So you will hear and see Dot go back and forth. She's getting product ready for our big sale this weekend. Yes, I have batiks on sale. Well, they're normally $12 a metre, but you never know. You might catch a bargain. You know what I'm like. So at 12 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be selling some fabric. Now, to get started, I'm just taking a bit of a look at what I've got. I've got these, I hope you can see them. It's not too low. Is it too low? Do I need to lift it a little? I can lift it a little, not much, but a little. I'll try that in a minute. Hold on to it. I'll just pop this front foot down. There we go. So it holds on nicely. Fingers crossed. Doesn't go falling off. There we go. That looks a bit better. So you can see these here. These are the ones I was talking about. I've got a really long bit of thread. Whoops, I nearly lost the camera. Really long bit of thread on there that I need to cut off because otherwise it's just going to create issues. I might get Dottie to grab me some tape so I can just tape across here to stop it from falling. Yeah, yes, Michelle, a sale. So, thank you, Dottie. That'll do. That's all right. That'll do. That'll hold on. Packing tape, nothing like it. There we go. Make sure it stays. If it comes down to it, I'll use gaffer tape, I should say. All right, so that's really, really long, and to me that's going to be way too long. I need to have my foot just gliding over the top, so there's a little bit of gap, but not a huge gap. I can get just the bit of chalk just under it. The video will zoom in and zoom out. Hello, how you going? Hi, Gidget. Now I'm presuming, is it Zavita? I think I've pronounced that right. So I've got a cord here for the charger. I'm just trying to get that out of the way as well. Sorry, bear with me, ladies. I'm probably not doing myself any good here. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is do a cut off. So I cut that off, and that gets, oops, it didn't do it that time, so we'll try again. And we'll go cut off. There we go. No, it didn't do it again. What's going on this morning? It's not having a good morning. Put down, cut off. No, I'll just cut it off myself if it's not going to be nice this morning. There we go. Trim it off. I don't want a really long one. Thank you. Now, there we go. Nice short lead on the bobbin. Foot down. Now, I'm looking at this area going, okay, I've got a lot to fill here. It goes all the way across so you can't see, it's off the camera. But I want to just concentrate on this first little bit. So I'm going to get my pencil and I'm going to draw a couple of straight lines here. So you can see just there. That's going to break that up a little for me. And I'm going to do a couple here and probably one here and there, and I'm going to divide this, and it's the old divide and conquer thing, so that I'm going to do first. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my needle in the down position and up and down, and see that little tail of thread, slowly it's getting buried, but I'm going to trim that off the top. Being an arty quilt, the backing of it's not such a big deal. It will probably be hung all the time, and you can always put a false back on if it's that much of an issue to you. I'm just going to move that back a little, bit of resistance there. So first things first, a couple of little straight lines, making sure my speed is right because I'm using the stop start button up here, which is just off camera. No foot. I'm not using a foot on the machine, so I just need to make sure that the speed is good, which it looks like it is. I'm just going to grab that little bit of thread there, just try and push it under that foot if I can. It won't do it for me. There it goes. All right, so let's move. So nice even stitches. It's hard to do when you first start. I can just feel that grabbing. Pull back down, and I'm going to come back and do a second go at that line. It just looked a bit wobbly, and make it a little bit thicker. Just there. And it does sound like my bobbin is bouncing, so bear with me a second. I'm just going to make sure it's got the bobbin doodah in there. Yeah, it does. Yep. Just sounded a little bit jumpy. Make sure it's under, around. I did clean it out the other day, so it's probably possible it could fall apart on me. Now I've got it off the machine, I can literally cut that off. You'll have to excuse my fingers too. I've been gardening and they're really, really dry. No matter the amount of moisturiser I'm putting on, they're very, very dry. All right, next one. Foot down, needle down, and see how that thread just buried? That's what we want to see. So we want to start it along here. Oh, I know what it's carrying on about. I haven't changed my tension. So you need to adjust your tension to around about the 6 mark, between 5 and 6, and you'll find that it'll be a lot happier and less grunty. And the stitches won't look like they're about to fall off the fabric. So go back over those and make them a little bit thicker. Nice and steady. There. Now, my first instinct is to want to fill up this area, so we're going to do that. But first of all, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to stitch this down here just with a big basting stitch. And to get a basting stitch with this, I'll show you what I do, because now you can see I'm moving quite slow, and then I go across here, nice big stitches, and stop. And you can see it's bubbly, but that's okay because we're going to do so much stitching, it's going to push it right down. So again, I've cut off and I'm putting my thread above the foot. So you can see the foot's here and the thread is above the foot. There's a reason for that. That helps the thread bury. And you watch, there it goes. Excuse me. Now, to stitch this down and make it nice and flat, we have to figure out what design we're going to do. So do I echo? What do I do? Do I do lots of little swirls? And I'm thinking that these little wormhole ones where you do a C shape and just keep going back and forth with the letter C, and then you change directions and come back. Now, if you get stuck in the corner, don't stress. Just bring it up and start in a different direction, and that's the beauty of this. It's really liberating to be able to know that it doesn't matter if you make that boo-boo. So we're just going to fill it back and forward and go back, 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 back. And with all that stitching, that'll push all that puffiness down and make that sit nice and flat. So here we go. So up one way and back the other way with a C. Letter C. She's a bit noisy. You might need an oil, which I'll do in the next break. And up this way. And I'm not really following the lines I just drew. I'm just going in the direction that I drew it in. So now I'm going in this direction. So I just go back and forwards with a letter C and fill up that area. And I've got myself into a corner, so I just follow that line that I started before, that edge piece, and I'm going to come up the other way. And I'm just going to go back and forward and fill that all up. I can't do it 2 times faster on live videos, I'm afraid. So you're going to have to just watch me do it. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to answer any. There's no silly questions. I'm good with any kind. And don't feel silly by asking a question that you think someone else might have asked or that I've been asked before. It's all good. So back and forth, let us see. Up one side and down the other. The only real thing you want to try and do is keep the gap between these really sort of consistent. And again, if you don't and you make some a bit smaller and some a bit bigger, no big deal. But that's the main aim. Just keep it consistent. You've got nothing to worry about with your foot because there's no pedal on. So you've got your machine set at a speed that works well for your motor skills. And you press start and stop. Back and forth, the letter C, and to fill up that area, I'm just going to make these nice and big. And you can notice my hands are not in that gripping position, they're flat and relaxed. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of an echo and go all the way up here come back in the opposite direction. Hi Wania, you're from Brazil, welcome. So we're going back down the other side of it and we're just going to fill in. And I think the variegated thread really gives it a bit of character. Up the side there. They do fix up the bulgy bits, Michelle. Yep, the letter C is a good one to use, as is a lot of others. Pebbling can be also a really good one to fix up those little bulgy bits that you want to get rid of. Stitch it to death, make it behave. And I'm just going to fill up this area here with one letter C. Back and forth, travel along the edge and just echo there. So I'm going to cut that off. And now you can see it is nice and flat. See how flat that is? That's how it works. Hello sir, please show how to embroider for the givener. I want to learn embroidery. God bless. 9:30 on Thursday, September from Philippines. Hi Loretto, this is just free motion quilting. I'm not really doing embroidery as such. This is definitely just free motion quilting. So this is a live demonstration, and yeah, you might have to go on to crafterlive.com.au and there might be some embroidery videos there for you, Loretta. Okay, now for this one here, I don't want to do the same there, and I can continue, thanks Julie, can continue with a little bit of the stipple, but to do that I really need to speed up the machine, so I'm just going to speed her up a fraction and put my foot in the down position. Needle down and bury that baby thread. Look at that, it's all gone. Now mind you, the back of my quilt looks just as nasty as anyone else's, so don't stress if the back is not looking great. With these arty type of quilts, that doesn't really matter. You just don't want a whole heap of threads, and if you've got that little seam ripper machine, you just go along and shave them all off. It's fantastic. So let's just fill up a little bit more here and with the stipple and make these leaves pop a little. So this is literally just a wiggle. I am using my fingers and my palms just to move very short, small movements back and forth and in different directions. I'm trying hard not to overlap my stitches, but if it does, I'm not going to unpick this. It's just, that would be ridiculous. So it's just really tiny little movements in all different directions. The one thing you're trying to do with this is to not make it too linear, so you don't want it looking like they're going in lines. So in different directions will help to alleviate those directional lines that you can create with these by going back and forth, up and down the fabric. So if I come out over here, and although I need to come back in there and fill that in, I can do that with a different type of stitch. So let's just fill up to this edge and stop and fill in that other area with something else. I'm on for a little while. Oh, welcome Pat, good to hear from you. Hope everyone's well there your end. So that I've just did that. I've just stitched that there just to get myself over here and break up that one line. You didn't really want it looking like a line, so that makes it look a little bit more organic. Now I'm going to fill up this little bubbly bit and this one here, and I haven't stitched down the edge there, so I'm not stitching this area until I've stitched that edge down, otherwise it makes it really hard for me. This little bit here, I'm going to do some circles. So to do the circles, we go one way and then the next way. So I'll just bring this over. Actually, I might cut it off. And I will draw over here so you can see. So to do the circles or pebbles or whatever your bubbles, whatever you want to call them, you go one way, right to the end, and then back around again to half, quarter, wherever. Then back out. It's like a figure eight. and then you keep going around again, and then back out, around, up, one way, and then the other. So always working one way to the other. If you work all one way, you're going to get, like if I just stop there and then I get the next one, then I've stopped there, haven't I? So then you're going to get one there, and then where are you going to go? You've got to travel up. Then you're going to go here, and you sort of get yourself into a bit of a like a bad position. So your best bet is to go one way and then the other. I'll just erase that. All right, so if I keep going one way and not then the next one going the other, I still have to keep the actual direction of the bubble in the one direction, right? So I'm only going to be able to do that without going around again. So I need to go around once. I'm trying to make this sound as easy as I possibly can. Around once, like that, then around a little bit more, and then back the other way, and a little bit more, and you can go all the way around if you want to, it doesn't matter, and then back again, do the opposite direction, back to the opposite, to the right, to the left, to the right, all the way around. Okay, if you want to fill up that, you can do a couple of rights and a left, and then a right and a left. So it's always going one way and the other. Okay, and the best way to get these and yourself used to doing these is to draw them. Okay, so drawing them actually works really well and helps with your motor skills. You do need to have your machine on a higher speed when you're doing any kind of circles or bubbles, and the reason for that is that if you have it on a lower speed, you're going to find your circles are going to have those square edges, and we don't want square edges. Okay, so I'm just reducing this will wash out, or it'll just disappear behind the thread actually. All right, so let's get back over here and put it into action. So I finished over here, so I'm going to go back there, get my thread above the foot, my foot down, back to where I stopped, needle down, bury that thread. Then I want to fill up this with some bubbles, pebbles. So go one way, all the way around again, back to the other way, the right, round again, to the left, to the right, around to the left, then to the right, to the left. You can make the little ones to the right, and I'm going to travel back around. That's the beauty of these. If you get yourself stuck in there, okay, the left, to the right, and to the left, so always, if you work in that sort of motion all the time, so one way, get yourself right out, another way, then to the left again. Now to get back over to where I was to start on the next bit, I needed to travel. So I just travelled along some stitches to get back over there because I finished around about here and I needed to get back over to that line. So this bit here, I'm going to do some more pebbling, and I'm going to stitch that little bit there, and then I'm going to go bang, 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 bang. And see how I've made these really big stitches there? That's just to hold the edge down, because you can see, if you don't, you end up with all these sort of bits sitting up, and that's an easy way, because I've got an open toe foot, to get that caught underneath there. Okay, so let's fill these up with some more pebbles. So come one way, so that's the right, then to the left, to the right, all the way around again, then the left, right, to the left, right, left. I hope that makes sense. Have you got any questions at all? And that's the little area finished. So in about 10-15 minutes or 20 minutes, because I did a bit of talking, we've finished that little area. And it's all lots of little stitching, but what it's done, don't mind the fluff on this, is brought those leaves forward by pushing that fabric back. Okay, so we've still got this area here. I've got a line that I need to draw there, or stitch there, and I'm going to start here, go up, back a couple of times, and then stitch that one as well. So fingers crossed I can keep a straight line, and if it's not completely straight, it's no big deal. Thank you, Waynia. Straight down and go across and then back up. Now if you can see how it's bubbling, that's no big deal. We won't stress ourselves over those little indiscretions. We want liberating quilting, not stressful. So let's go up and down it a few times and make it look organic. Big stitches across the base and stop. I'll cut off so you can see what I've just done. So I've literally, try and grab it, there it is. I've done a couple of lines up and back there. I'm using my foot as a guide of how far apart they are. Thanks, Carol. Thanks, Jennifer. And then I've done some big stitches across there, just quickly moved it across. Haven't changed my speed, haven't stopped or started, nothing. I've just gone bang, bang, really quick and just stitched that side bit down so that I'm not worrying about it lifting. Now, we've done lots of curvy things, so let's do some lines. So a lot of people talk about echoing. I don't know if you know much about echoing, but echoing is basically, sorry, while I just grab that bit of thread there and just give it a bit of length. When you use variegated thread, do you worry about the different colour being on top of one another when sewing bubbles? No, not at all, Michelle. No. If I hold this up, I'll find a spot where you can see that, the spot I just did, you can't really tell that they are doubling up in colour and stuff, but you can't really see it. See if it'll zoom. That to that area. There we go. So you can't really tell because the stitches are so tiny. You don't see those little things. So same with swirls. You know, if you go in and out and that sort of thing, it doesn't matter if they're different colours in between. It's no big deal. No, I don't really worry about many things at all, Michelle. Very few things worry me when it comes to quilting unless I'm doing someone else's quilt. So then I get stressed. Stress levels go up when I've got someone else's work in my hands. All right, so let's look at these leaves and go, okay, well, how are we going to do this? So I'm thinking that if I was to follow this down and then all around, I think we're going to get lots of long lines here. It's not going to look as good. So I want to come from here and then up, then down and across the stitching and then back down again, up, down, like that. So it'll look almost like a chevron, and I'll keep them quite close. I'm going to use my foot as a guide for the distance. So, oops, put that down there. Bury my little baby thread. Get down there, you little booger. There we go. All right, I'm working sort of backwards at the moment, so bear with me, but you'll notice the edge of my foot is going to be against this, and I'm slowing it down because I don't want to go too fast. And we're just going to go across there, down to there, and then up. Stop and pause on the points. If you don't stop and pause at a point, that split second, you'll get a rounded edge. So I'm using my foot as a guide and go up. It won't be perfect, but I don't do perfect. Anyone who knows me knows that I don't do perfect. There we go, and then up. And if you notice, I don't pick my hand up off the quilt. Like these hands, there's always a hand on the actual quilt. And the reason for that is, if I take my hands off while it's moving, it is going to jump and wiggle around. And what I'm going to do is just take a look at this and see whether I'm going to reevaluate, see whether I need to go closer or what I need to do. So that's that. That's all done. Where did you get that white pen from? And these ones I sell, they're the ones I was talking about the other night. They're 22 a pen. Yeah, Rado, I do. And they come with a little refill as well. So, but any of the refills will fit. Cut that off and just let's have a look at this. And I'm going to look at it. And to me, I can already see that it's not close enough. I think it's a Soline brand one that has 3 different coloured leads, chalks. Yeah, Jenny, it is. This one only has a white. I use a lot of the white one, but yeah, you can get the other chalk refills from the other brand. It will fit this pen as well. So I'm going to come in and go in between those and make them small and really close. All right, so let's go back over where we started, needle down, and I'm going to eyeball in between. So let's go down here, and I'm not worrying if it's not perfect, remember that. And if I touch the other line, it's no big deal. Now come up there like that, just eyeballing. Now I can do 2 close, give one a gap, make a larger gap, and I think I like that. Then come up there, do one, so I didn't pause long enough, so I've got a curve. Then the next one, and I better do that again, otherwise it's going to look like I missed one. Come up here, go up, down, and then up here and fill that in. All right, she's very chunky this morning. So I've made some thinner lines together and some thicker lines, and I do like that. I don't mind that. So in these thicker lines though, I'm not 100% happy because, you know, I just like things to be the way I like them. So I'm going to go and do some other line, going the other way. But I'm not going to make them sharp, I'm just going to make them rounded. So they're just like going up one way and back down. Like an S, just doing an S. And that's going to fill in that little gap there. Just one way. When you get to a corner, just fill it up now. And again. And you can see I've gone over that same line, you know, 30 million times. You know, and it still looks fine. I'm not worried about it. Yes, up one way, down and curve around, up the other way, curve around. Yeah, that looks better. How's that? I like that better. That's much better. I've got a little fluffy bit there. I'll get my little $4 scissors that I use. Have been using for 100 years. Love these little scissors. Alright. If you can't get them right off, get a pair of duckbills, I'll get them off. Alright, so we've filled up that section, and you know how we had all that lots of bubbling? All that black fabric was bubbling before. It was all, you know, like a Mexican wave. It is all nice and flat, isn't it? So that's how the heavy quilting makes the fabric sit down. All right. So we're going to go now. It's been about 20 minutes or 40 minutes, I should say. And we'll be back at, I think we're coming back at 1 o'clock today. And we're going to do another demo on another project, and I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me.